was chosen. It takes a certain type of person, not perfect, but a certain type of person.
We work to implement community safety and transform justice to ensure freedom from violence.
People deserve to change their lives. It's a matter of transformation.
We out there saving lives and changing people's direction, man, it's great.
My name is Ben Owens. I'm also known as Taco. I am a CVI specialist at the Urban Peace Institute. I'm also a trainer at the Urban Peace Institute, where we train CVI specialists, not just in the city of Los Angeles, but across the country. We train and teach folks the fundamentals of CVI work, the professional standards of it, the fundamentals of it, and how to stay safe overall. It's extremely dangerous work, but it's extremely important that we practice this work because it's saving lives.
My name is Kareem Hughes, also known as Tough. I am a community intervention worker with APUU, that's Advocates for Peace and Urban Unity. Being a peacemaker, man, I feel it's a privilege. That's something that I get to do versus I got to do. You know, like, oh, I have to go do this. But I really get to be a peacemaker, you know, so I embrace it. It comes with challenges. You know, some days it's just like, the frustration builds. But at the end of the day, which is really the beginning of the day, you know, I was chosen. It takes a certain type of person, not perfect, but a certain type of person to implement peace.
Being a peacemaker to me means that I am the designated person, assigned person, the person who's equipped or skilled or have the talent or the anointing to go out and promote peace and maintain peace with individuals in my community that are subject to violence. You know, this work, as we professionalize, a lot of training involved. And I was sitting here thinking, you know, integrity and how it segues into this work as a professional.
Yeah.
I think we've always known what integrity is, whether somebody in our community told us, a grandparent, even in the church, you know, they talk a lot about integrity. What do you think are the crossroads are, what makes it like uniquely different to have those conversations about integrity and doing this work? Coming from the lifestyle that we come with, it's like, how can you have integrity in that type of work when there's so many moving parts?
That's a good question. Because integrity, I mean, I look at it, and even as I got older, I've learned the true meaning of integrity. Not only that, how to walk it out, you know? So in this work, with me, it's just being comfortable with being who I am. Everywhere I go, I'm the same person. You know, I'm not gonna straddle the fence. Of course, I think my conversation changes depending on what circles I'm in, the dynamics and language barriers. Sometimes I may speak different, you know, when I'm around the homies, or I may speak different when I'm, you know, sitting down and we're meeting with the mayor or the congressman or at church. But for the most part, just being me, you know, I'm the same me. You know, you may get a different version of me, but that's what I see integrity in this work, and allowing the homies or whoever in the community to see me and know that, okay, he a real peacemaker. Like, he's for real with it. You know, that's the biggest thing with me, integrity is being who you say you are. You know, no matter where you go, that's who I am. And I want to be perceived as that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the word integrity, when we attach it to like being a good guy or, you know, and some of the difficulties of, you know, dealing with the community and them understanding that you're doing something productive and creative in the community, something new, exposing them to a new lifestyle. When we look at integrity, being transparent in what we do or whatever, you're Kareem, I'm Taco, but I'm also Ben, and you're also Tough. Do you think integrity, like, do you have to switch roles? You go from dun-dun-dun-dun, you the superhero, you doing great work, and then now you have to convert back because there's somebody that doesn't understand the peacemaking or what integrity or transparency looks like. Do you find yourself trying to translate that, like how you said you at the mayor's office, you this, but then in the hood, you're that, but you're still the same person. How do you translate that?
Well, one thing I've learned is, and this is something we all know, but probably haven't put it in these words, the streets only respect disrespect. You know, like the street, the culture only respect you if you're disrespectful, you know? So I have to kind of like say something belligerent in a situation, or I gotta be aggressive, or I gotta kind of, as we use the phrase, bang on somebody, and then they're like, oh, okay, that tough still got it. You know what I mean? Like he's still, so I've learned to, in my experience, just to kind of shift that narrative, man. Like the peacemaker, as we know, sometimes is seen as the person that's weak, or you got soft. So it's my life goal to switch that narrative, to see that the peacemaker is the strongest person, because it takes a strong individual to walk away. You know, when you used to approach it a certain way, it takes a strong individual to be like, you know what, nah, I'm cool. God bless you, bro, have a good day. Even when I'm being disrespected, like, it's easy to just get out of character. Anybody could do that, but it takes a certain type of individual. And as you say, or as you ask, to get to how do I balance that, you know, with the community, is really just having those conversations, you know, and really getting them to see the different narrative. Like, okay, bro, like you don't always gotta approach a situation like that, bro. Like violence, you don't always have to approach a situation with anger, or when you don't get your way, you don't have to resort to that violent streak, or you feel like you gotta make a scene. So it's creating those opportunities to have those type of conversations to change that narrative.
Yeah. Do you feel vulnerable when you practice integrity?
Yeah.
Why?
Because at any moment, you know, because I'm not perfect. You know, every day I'm working at this thing, and I've had my buttons pushed before to where I had to walk off and kind of breathe and get myself together, and then, you know, revisit the situation because of the environment that we're in. We're in constant where you're getting tested, and then a situation like even recently, I'm trying to break up a fight, and then the aggressor turned to me. You know, so now I'm like, okay, so I'm put in a place to where if I don't show some type of aggression, passive aggression, you know, not attached to an intention of violence, but I have to somehow, you know, just navigate that situation to where I'm not weak, but speaking with some type of authority, you know. So it's hard to do that, and it puts you in a situation where, okay, man, I don't know what's coming. Like, I don't know what's next. I'm not really sure of what I will do, but I know what my intentions are, you know, so trying to be present, me personally, trying to stay present in the moment so I don't get caught off guard.
Yeah. Because this work entails, you know, we deal with the inside, but externally we deal with, you know, folks maybe could have been former rivals or at least rivals to our community. That integrity piece to where, like, when we're engaging those ops or former rivals, and now you got information where they live and who they are, things like that. And maybe you might even, you know, somebody might say, oh, you work with them dudes now. So is that a benefit for you? Is it a benefit for the community, or is it a benefit for whom? And how do you have that conversation? Because there's a lot of perceptions like, oh, if you're working with them, then now you know all the secrets, or you got access at getting at them. How do you maintain your integrity with the community when they think that you're working this so-called ops?
That's a good one. And it's crazy because when you get to this level of maturity, you know, and I still got a lot of growing to do, so I haven't arrived. But when you get to a level, you're comfortable with who you are. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I'm comfortable with who I am. So I know I got to deal with people who otherwise I would never even have a conversation with, you know, but this level of growth that I've, you know, made it to, it puts me in a place to where, like, I'm comfortable. I'm not really worried about, I know I have to worry about what the homies think or the community think, but I'm more or less showing the action. You know what I mean? When they see, okay, like I was saying earlier, bro is really with the peace. Like, he's not just trying to get a check. He's not just, like, he display it. Like, and that's my thing. And I have this thing where I live, if you have morals and standards, if you live according to a set of morals and standards, to me, that produces conviction. You know, I have conviction in my heart to where, and just a spiritual conscience. I can't just do the wrong thing no more and not feel bad or not feel like, so that conviction to me is it leads to integrity. Because now I'm living according to these morals and standards. I'm not finna give up this dude just because I have this information. And the relationships that we build, it allows a person to trust you and have that type of, how can I put it? That relationship with you, and know that, okay, like it's a trust factor to me, and understanding that, okay, when they don't get it, my thing is I'm gonna just keep living it. Right. I'm gonna keep living it. I'm gonna keep showing it every day. And then eventually, like, it's starting to happen already. Homies that would never want to come to the table, are starting to come to the table like, bro, I see what you're doing, man. So it's just continuing to do the work.
You had a pivotal moment in your life or somewhere, or matured to a level to where this is integrity. Is it, or can you find yourself sometimes being tempted to compromise integrity just for the sake of keeping the peace? Is it that difficult to, like, wow, I got to buy this dude a beer, otherwise if it's going to escalate to something else, or I got to let them smoke because if they don't, it's going to end up. Is it hard to compromise, and do you feel guilty if that compromise is persuaded,
To be totally transparent, I've had to do that. And what made me comfortable enough to do it, because I seen the big picture in a certain situation where it's like, okay, I already know where this is going to go if I approach this situation. So I'm not going to, it's not like I'm just allowing it or I'm ignoring it, but the end game to me, if I know I'm going to approach this later, I'm not going to leave it there. But now it's not a good time, to kind of approach this situation, to come in, trying to enforce, even though I see what they're doing and we've already talked about this, I'm just going to wait till later. And I sometimes feel convicted when I do that, or I feel a little guilty, like, well, people, because everybody's watching, and they don't sometimes see, or they don't have I would use the word discernment, they don't have the ability to see, okay, that how this situation can be bad if I approach. So maybe I'll wait and I'm going to talk to this individual tomorrow. So the thing with me is making sure that I follow up and address the situation that was at hand that I chose to, quote unquote, turn a blind eye to, but because for the sake of the safety of who's around, for the sake of whatever in that moment that I make that decision, so like I say, I've had to do that before and then had to double back and talk to the individual when they were sober, because at the time I knew, okay, this is going to spiral out of control, and I already know what he's dealing with in his personal life. Right. So if I come over here pushing, and I know where this is going to go, so I got to act like I don't see this, and then I'll talk to him another time. So you got to have that judgment, because everything is situational. It's not cookie cutter where you have the same approach. It depends on the individual. Sometimes it may be a person that I'll go get somebody else to talk to that have a better relationship with him, even though we're from the same community, but somebody else. So it's all situational, man. And you have to have that level of understanding and wisdom, in order to operate and be successful, I believe. Even before I was, I started off as an ambassador, first volunteering, started off, and then I started being an ambassador, but I was always watching the community, you know what I mean? And at first, you would see some of the homies that were peacemakers, and it was kind of, I was a little younger, but they were still kind of living the life, and it was new, so you would see some of them, maybe even drinking, even off the clock, or regardless of them being on the clock. But I would see that in the beginning, and it was kind of like, oh man, I don't really know, this take them serious, or kind of involved in stuff that you low key know about, and it's like, I thought you was so. I can honestly say that I've seen that change almost a 180, in the community where I am. Like, I've seen the integrity grow. I've seen people like, wait a minute, like, we got something here. Like this is important. Like, this work we do, building relationships with brothers, who we call ops from the other community. We actually went out to eat. He cool. Right. We actually know the same people, so I've seen the integrity of it grow just in my observation from the sideline, and now I'm actually in the game, being a part of the growth of the integrity.
Yeah, I heard you mention we a lot, taking the ownership as a collective in this intervention field. You're right, we have to have standard, and we have to be able to qualify what's integrity to us, because you got different outlooks of what's integrity to the community, maybe to law enforcement, maybe to just people who's not familiar with the culture. And that's important that we have a say-so, like, this is what it is, this is how we practice that.
Yeah.
And so as the intervention field begins to grow, the leadership needs to be responsible to say, hey, this is what it is, and this is how we function, this is what we do, this is what we don't do. Yeah. Because I know, again, starting off in the early stages, if you were doing something positive or productive, it's almost as it's a comparison that you're a crime fighter. And you just basically, you want the best for your community. You're not calling the police, you just, breaking up fights, or you painting graffiti over the wall. I mean, you're just doing things that's positive for the community. And sometimes the community has the audacity to view community safety coupled with public safety, meaning law enforcement.
Yeah.
And so we've transitioned from that. We've come a long way in the development of that. Still got a long way to go, because there's still some people out there who identify, if you're doing something, nonviolent or productive and don't have anything to do with a party or, anything
Exactly.
that's normal, it's difficult to grasp that and understand, like, why do you want to help me? Why do you want to feed me? We're really not accustomed to us or in some communities treating each other with that hospitality. And even with, like you said, with folks being ops, and us dealing with, the culture of where our communities come from. So I think we've come a long way. Part of that is because of the professionalism. You were a volunteer, you became an ambassador, which is a part-time worker, and then now you're full-time, and I see you scaling your way up. How can we get the community buy-in to say, this is, come on in, the water's fine. Like you said, you yourself viewing that, and now folks are watching you and saying, all right, you're good, but that guy over there, he doing what we doing.
Yeah.
And so how do we get the guy that's getting paid as a professional to do what you're doing, but still struggling?
You know what? We just got to keep doing this work. And that's what gives me hope. Even I got a phone call the other day from a brother that kind of, he's one of the ones that's like iffy about the work. And it's like, man, y'all be dealing with different people and the rumors of, oh, y'all be dealing with the police. But I got a call from him, and he was saying, bro, man, I talked to the homie who just got out, who done 29 years. His name is Anthony. And he said, bro, he told me you got him out. Now, I didn't get him out. It just sounded good when he said it, but I participated in the writing of letters, went to Chuckawalla prison. We visited him. I was able to walk the yard with them. I went to the prison through a ministry called Prison Fellowship. But I played a large part in him getting this, the situation overturned and coming home. Right. And I say that because I was telling the brother, like, yeah, this is what we do, bro. Right. Like this is the stuff that I don't go on social media and blast, but this is what we do, And for him to call me, I hung up the phone. I felt good because we're reaching the ones by just continuing to do the work, not blasting the horn like, look at me, right. Look what I do. But just doing it humbly, and then the word gets out there and they come back. So if we continue to do this work, be effective in this work on the front lines, we're going to reach them. If it's 1 by 2 by 3 by 5, I believe that's the key. Continuing to move and operate in integrity. Even the youngster, I don't know if I shared it with some of the brothers, one of the youngsters from the community, I gave him $30 to get his hair cut. He graduating, we've been working with him, got his grades up. Right. Man, this one almost made me shed a tear because I was so excited and so happy that, man, Giovanni graduated. You know what I mean? So, and I bring it up because I gave him $30 to get his hair cut. And the barber was even excited that he was graduating. Man, this your graduation haircut, man. You don't got to pay me. It's free. Now, I know that $30 I gave him at that moment, that's all the money he had. Right. So after his haircut, he get back, I'll go pick him up, and he hands me the money. And I'm like, what's that? He was like, he cut it for free. You know, so I was just so proud because I know a little bit of his history.
Right.
So I'm like, man, this brother, that's integrity right there.
Yeah,
Because he could have pocketed the money and not said nothing. This is an extra $30 I got. So I gave it right back to him. But the fact that I'm like, it's working. You know, it's working, man. Like, so that's, to answer your question, we just got to keep having the faith, having the endurance, you know, and really the hope that, okay, even if I don't see it, you know, on a large spectrum, you know, those few individuals lives that we're touching, man.
All right. This work has been branded as dangerous work, you know, and we know personally people who have lost their lives, you know, while doing this work or being an interventionist or a peacemaker. How difficult do you find this work to be in terms of staying safe? Not just for yourself, you have family, you have a wife, you have children. How difficult do you find that to do this work, operate out of integrity, don't fake it till you make it, but also be able to go home every night?
It's very difficult, you know. Again, it's something that I've accepted, but I can't sit here and say it's easy or it's a piece of cake. It's very difficult. At times, when I get home, I sit in the driveway. I'm hoping my youngest son don't see me pull up, so I can sit there and just decompress. You know, I could just, you know, kind of leave it all in the car. You know, that's my second office. You know, so I kind of balancing that and not taking the work home. You know, to where I'm just like in the days, or I'm still worried about a situation that happened in a community that I probably could have, if I would have did it this way, or this other person that I know still need help. Because you know as well as I know, as a peacemaker, as an interventionist, we don't clock in and clock out. Once you agree to do this work, you get 2, 3, 4 in the morning phone calls, 12, you know, so we don't get time off. Only when we like intentionally take time off, you know, and even then I'm worried like, okay, so again, I embrace it, and I'm gonna share this one story. We were doing safe passage at a funeral. One of the guys, and mind you, it's 11 o'clock in the afternoon, so one of the guys is very, you know, he's loaded, very intoxicated. Now this is a community that's having a funeral in my community, and we don't really get along with this community. But again, you know, this is what being a peacemaker allows us to be in situations where we can talk to brothers from other communities, and there's a dialogue. Hey, bro, we're gonna okay, for sure. We're gonna come and do safe passage, kind of. So long story short, the brother's intoxicated, you know, and there's some words between him and one of the ambassadors, you know. So I'm stepping in. Okay, bro, it's all right, bro, you know. But I'm seeing that, okay, this brother hurting because he drunk at 11 something. Right. The brother inside the church laying in the casket. Ain't no telling what he meant to him, you know. So I know he's in his feelings. He's very emotional. So he get disrespectful. He say some disrespectful things to the ambassador. And the ambassador was real cool. He's like, look, man, hey, you're not finna mess up my day, bro. You know, God bless you. You know, take that energy somewhere else. But when he said that, the gentleman turned that into a negative. My energy? What you mean my energy? Pulled out a gun. So now I'm right there. The brother pull out a gun. The brothers that's with this brother, I would think they would try to, hey man, they ran. They took off like, so he must have a reputation for, you know, so the brother pull out a gun. So here I am, you know, now it's all slow motion. Like, wow, we've arrived at one of these situations, you know, and the brother had words and he was very angry, very hurt, you know, and he ended up discharging a firearm, shot toward us, you know, and the police were close. So, but in this sense, I see him biting his bottom lip. Like there's something in him that want to release this anger, you know, and so I'm like, bro, don't do that. I'm trying to speak logic. I'm like, bro, the police is close. I'm trying to trigger some type of logic in him, even though he's not in a logical state, clearly. But, you know, I guess it clicked. But before then, the police were already pulling up. And, you know, from there, it just went a whole nother way. Not a bad way from there, but just how close, you know, like that's the barrel. I was looking right at the barrel. And I'm thinking about my kids. I'm thinking about my wife. And I'm like, wow. Here we go, man. Just stepping in to create safe passage for this family, this community. And then before you know it, some spirals out and it can happen, as you already know, in any given moment. So that's something that, again, even after that day, you know, I was kind of I felt some type of way. You know, I had to get back to myself, and you know, and just went to the beach that night. You know, I went to the beach and just walked on the sand, and I'm thinking and I'm praying, which is what I do. You know, and I'm like, okay. But I woke up the next morning and I was right back at it. You know what I mean? So some may say that's crazy, but you know, it's just dedication, man.
Yeah.